Hi, and welcome to our talk on using carrots and sticks in your platform to raise the bar on application quality. I'm Andrew Gunch. I've spent the last 4 years as a director of engineering at Ad Hoc. Here, I oversee platform engineering teams at various government agencies, including having started and led the va.gov web platform. Before that, I worked at Google, leading technical projects across a variety of platforms, including streaming media platforms, Cloud UI platforms, and API platforms.
And I'm Kendra Skeen. I'm the Director of Product for Ad Hoc's Federal Civilian Business Unit. I previously led product for the state of Georgia's enterprise web platform, and then spent 3 years supporting the VA's Lighthouse API platform. I now support product teams across our federal civilian programs in areas such as GSA's Search.gov and the U.S. Office of Personnel Management. This gives me a good view into a variety of customer environments and challenges that teams face. So a little bit about Ad Hoc. We're a modern U.S. government contractor whose mission is to empower customers to deliver digital services that promote the general welfare. We see digital services as technology that enables effective interactions between organizations and the people they serve. One way we can do that is by ensuring the applications we build are accessible, consistent, performant, and easy to use. That means working with organizations on how they can make sure their applications are meeting that quality bar. We find that it's a bit of a balancing act, which is what we want to talk about today.
So let's say you want to improve an aspect of software quality across your whole enterprise. For example, maybe you have an accessibility requirement that you need to enforce across your organization's applications. Apps that aren't accessible open your organization up to liability, not to mention it's just bad business. So you start by writing a policy about it and sending it out. But just writing it down doesn't mean that people are actually following it. And after a while, you find that it's followed inconsistently at best. So you come up with a way to enforce the policy, a stick. You tell people first that they have to pass automated accessibility tests in order to launch. But you find the automation doesn't catch everything. So you also set up a manual review process and require teams to submit their features for accessibility review before launch. Now you have other problems. This process is slowing your teams down and adding hurdles in their way. They understand that accessibility is important, but they also want to ship their features quickly. And now they're experiencing your process primarily as a roadblock to them shipping. So what can you do to make this easier? Well, we like the mantra, make the right thing the easy thing. And that means building help into your platform. A carrot, something that supports app teams in meeting that policy. So that might be, in this case, making your automated accessibility tests part of common infrastructure so that the tests run consistently and they're easy to configure. That might also be providing a design system of UI components that are already accessible that teams can use and that compose well together in their apps. The power of a central platform here is in being a leverage point, something you can use to guide your applications to the right destination. So now that we've talked through this at a high level, let's dive in deeper about specific ways to enforce platform quality using this carrots and sticks model.
So let's start with the sticks, those enforcement mechanisms. The sticks are what we call software governance. Governance is the set of standards, tools, and processes used to enforce policies on products the organization develops. It can be used for everything from ensuring accessibility compliance and security processes are followed, to establishing a consistent design and vocabulary in a user-facing product. Governance is typically thought of as a way to control and ensure compliance and manage risks. But it can be more broadly defined as the process of managing decision-making and implementation within an ecosystem. So we use governance to create consistency or control. And a lot of organizations implement checks for visual and UX consistency, accessibility compliance, security, legibility and writing style, and so on. An API platform, for example, may use governance to apply rules for API design, performance, and usability. When you are just interested in providing shared tooling, you don't need governance. But if you want to add consistency or control to an aspect, that's when you need governance. So here's how an application team may encounter your governance process on their build and deploy journey. First, they're going to encounter written rules. You have a list of guidelines you want followed, and you may even decree that some of them must be followed. But at this written stage, there's no enforcement. Teams aren't prevented from launching if they don't meet written standards. You don't even know if they've read all the rules or if the whole team is aware of what you want from them. For anything you want to enforce, you need to have some sort of gating or review process. The first gate developers will encounter will be the ones you've implemented as automated tests. These are the things we can verify automatically so that code passing through these tests are flagged for violations. This provides immediate feedback to developers and enables them to quickly iterate on their code until their code passes those tests. Finally, we have manual reviews. A lot of things can't be verified automatically, such as visual consistency and a lot of accessibility standards. In a manual review, subject matter experts review the application and work with the dev teams to help them meet quality standards before giving launch approval. This should be a last resort for checks that you can't automate, since the iteration cycle for an app team is slower when manual reviews are involved. If you really care about compliance, you'll ultimately need all three of these to make sure the apps going to production meet your quality standards. But now you've put all these rules on application teams. You've got your consistency, but at the cost of making a lot more work for application teams. This is a lot more rules they have to follow and hoops they have to jump through. Really big stick, no carrot. So what do you do?
There are a lot of ways you can make this enforcement process easier to go through for your application teams. So today we're going to talk about 5 specific carrots that we've seen that can help you reach your quality goals across your app ecosystem. Again, we say, make the right thing the easy thing. This means using your platform as a leverage point to guide user decisions toward the outcomes that you want to see. So let's start with a big carrot, starter kits. The idea with these is to provide a workable hello world sort of app that users can launch on your platform. So maybe that's a repository that users can clone to start a new web app, or maybe that's a code generator that spits out scaffolding for a new API endpoint. Whatever it is, the result should demonstrate correct use of your platform and meet your governance requirements out of the box. It's easier for developers to modify a working app than to start one from scratch. So if you give them something that already demonstrates good design, accessibility, security practices, and use of your platform's infrastructure, then it'll be easier for them to meet the quality bars you want to see before launch. You might have also heard the terms golden paths or paved paths describing a similar concept. Entire out-of-the-box applications or guidance that help developers use your platform how you intended them to. Second is reusable components. A big part of platforms you already know is about providing reusable components, but this is particularly important when thinking about how to help users meet your quality bars, and especially for the kinds of components that are hard to get right. So for example, if your governance includes design consistency and accessibility concerns, then providing a fully implemented design system goes a long way. If the components you provide already meet your visual design standards, and application developers can drop those into their UIs, then their initial result is already going to be pretty close to the visual quality bar that you want to see. Third, if your business has particular compliance needs, think about how your platform can help applications automatically meet those requirements. In our work in government, we often run into this as a collection of requirements known as ATO for authority to operate. These are requirements about things like access controls, networking configurations, and cloud security. So to make meeting compliance requirements easier, we've found a good approach to be architecting your platforms in ways that ensure applications already meet those compliance requirements out of the box. This way, when an application team builds on the platform team's infrastructure, that application can reuse compliance work already done by the platform team. This can be a compelling pitch to application teams to use your platform, reminding them that they shouldn't bog themselves down in tedious compliance work. Fourth, training helps users understand your platform so they can use it more effectively. When developers are new to your platform, any help that you can give them to get over that initial hurdle of using a new thing can help accelerate them and point them in the right direction. It also gives you the opportunity to guide them toward the best practices and quality bars that you want to see. So whether that training is through hands-on help, recordings, or documentation, training can help reinforce best practices for those users coming to your platform for the first time. Finally, customer support helps accelerate your application teams and helps them to get back on track when they're stuck. Customer support can also build confidence in your platform, especially early on while you're still working out the kinks and developing new functionality. Good customer support can help bridge the gap for users when things aren't working as intended, when functionality is missing, or when your users aren't using your tools quite how you want them to. Also, as a side benefit here, doing customer support for your platform is a good opportunity to create feedback loops with your users as a way to learn where they're getting stuck or just don't understand how to use something. That feedback you get can turn into opportunities to improve your platform.
Those feedback loops will help you iterate, learn, and refine your processes to find the right balance of carrots and sticks that make the right thing the easy thing. All of these work in concert: your policy, your enforcement of that policy, and the support that helps them meet it, those incentives. The key is to think of quality enforcement as a product and iterate on it like a product. Your users are the application teams affected by this policy. So do you have a pulse on how it's working for them? Is it helping them succeed, or does it just feel like a roadblock? Finding the right balance isn't easy. We recommend starting with what I call your minimal viable governance. That's the lowest level of friction and requirements, and then improve upon how you enforce and incentivize that behavior over time. That might mean starting with a manual review of the most important things to get right, and then building in some automated checks to speed up that process. Or it may mean that you eventually remove some of the manual reviews or provide training to make it easier for teams to meet the bar you've set. The point is, quality enforcement and governance is part of the product and should be treated as such. This is a pretty meaty topic to cover in just 15 minutes. So if you're interested in more, we have a couple of blog posts on this topic at adhoc.team. You can also find us on the Platform Engineering Slack or connect with us on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, and we look forward to hearing from you.